A poor girl pointed to the poster of a millionaire's missing wife and said, "She lives in my house." The discovery changed their lives forever. A story of reunion and love that will touch your heart. Subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up, and comment on where you are watching from. The morning of March arrived in Los Angeles with that timid sun that barely pierced the layer of pollution hovering over the city. On Sunset Boulevard, amidst the frantic movement of hurried pedestrians and the incessant noise of traffic, a poster stuck to a lamppost caught the attention of desperate eyes watching it. Maria Johnson, 35 years old, firmly held the small, calloused hand of her 8-year-old daughter Isabella, while they both stared at the image of an elegant woman printed on the rain-faded paper. "Mom, I already told you. She really lives at home," Isabella whispered, tugging at the hem of Maria's worn skirt. Her big brown eyes, expressive like her mother's, couldn't look away from the photograph. "It's Aunt Anna, I'm sure." Maria felt her heart race. She knew every feature of her daughter's face, every inflection of her voice, and could tell when the girl was being completely sincere. Her eyes scanned the poster again. Missing Helena Miranda Castro, reward $2,000. The photo showed a woman approximately 40 years old, with straight brown hair falling over her shoulders, piercing green eyes, and a subtle smile that didn't reach her eyes. She wore a pearl necklace that Maria estimated was worth more than she would earn in 10 years working as a cleaner. "Isa, are you sure?" "Look closely at the photo." Maria crouched down to her daughter's level, ignoring the movement of people passing by them. Her hands, marked by hard work and constant use of cleaning products, trembled slightly as she held the delicate shoulders of the girl. "Mum, it is her. The hair is different because Aunt Anna cut it short when she came home all wet, remember? But the way she smiles is the same. And she has that little beauty mark right here next to her eye." Isabella pointed to her own face, exactly where she had noticed the mark on Anna. Maria's stomach tightened. In the last 6 months, since she found that woman passed out in the rain near the bus terminal in Southside, her life had changed completely. Anna, that was how the stranger had asked to be called when she woke up on the sofa in the family's small 2-room apartment, had become part of their routine. She helped with household chores, taught Isabella to play the keyboard on an instrument they managed to buy in installments, and demonstrated impressive knowledge about topics a simple person shouldn't know. "I need to think about this calmly, my love," Maria murmured, standing up and pulling her daughter by the hand. "Let's go home. We have to prepare lunch for Aunt Anna." As they walked down the street, Maria couldn't shake off the details that now made sense. Anna spoke Spanish fluently when she thought no one was listening, knew brands of expensive wines, even without ever having tasted alcohol during her time living with them, and had strange reactions every time helicopters flew over the area. Her long, well-groomed fingers contrasted with the small scars that marked her hands, as if she had been hurt trying to escape from somewhere. The apartment was on the 3rd floor of a 4-story building in Southside, an area where Maria had managed to rent after saving money, working as a cleaner in 3 different homes in the Arts District. The place was simple: a bedroom she shared with Isabella, a living room that also served as a kitchen, and a small bathroom. Anna slept on the sofa in the living room, but had never complained about the discomfort. "Anna, we're home!" Isabella shouted as she opened the door, running to hug the woman who was sitting at the coffee table, reading a 5th-grade math book. Anna looked up from the book and smiled. Maria paused at the door, observing her with renewed attention. Her brown hair, now cut in a bob that reached her shoulders, framed a delicate face. The green eyes were exactly like those in the poster photo, and the small beauty mark next to her right eye was exactly where Isabella had pointed. How had she not noticed before? "How was your morning?" Anna asked, closing the book and giving her full attention to the girl. Her voice had a refined Los Angeles accent, different from the typical speech of the neighborhood where she now lived. "Mom saw a poster on the street," Isabella began to tell, but Maria quickly interrupted her. "Nothing much. Just a course advertisement," she lied, heading to the small kitchenette. "I'm going to make lunch. Anna, can you help Isa with her homework?" While preparing rice and beans, Maria watched Anna from behind. The woman sat on the floor with Isabella, explaining a division problem with infinite patience. Her movements were graceful and delicate, as if she were used to very different environments than that simple apartment. But at the same time, she had perfectly adapted to the humble routine of the family, never showing discomfort or superiority. "Aunt Anna, have you ever been married?" Isabella's innocent question made Maria perk up her ears. Anna fell silent for a few seconds, with the distant expression that always appeared when she tried to remember something. "I don't know, little one. My memory is still very confused. But you have a ring mark here." Isabella pointed to Anna's ring finger, where there was indeed a clearer mark on her tanned skin. Maria almost dropped the pot. How had a wedding ring mark not caught her attention before? Perhaps because she was always too worried about bills, jobs, and Isabella's foot problem that had been worsening and needed expensive treatment. "Isa, don't making a question to Aunt Anna about things she doesn't remember," she gently reprimanded, but her heart raced. After lunch, while Anna helped Isabella with a drawing, Maria pretended to tidy up the room. But in reality, she was observing every movement, every expression, every detail, the upright posture even while sitting on the floor, the elegant way of holding the pencil, the way she pronounced certain words. Everything indicated a refined education, a past of privileges. When Isabella dozed off on the couch after lunch, Maria took the opportunity to talk privately with Anna. "Anna, I need to ask you something," she began, sitting next to her at the coffee table. "Of course, Maria, what is it? Do you remember anything about your past life? Anything, no matter how small?" Anna sighed, running her hands through her hair. "Sometimes I have flashes, you know. I remember a big place with expensive furniture, a pool, and a terrible feeling as if something very bad had happened. But when I try to focus on the images, they disappear." "And you're not curious to find out who you are?" "I am, of course. But at the same time..." Anna looked at Isabella sleeping. "I'm afraid of what I might discover. What if I was a bad person? What if I have responsibilities that I can't fulfill? Here with you, I feel safe." Maria felt her chest tighten. Anna's honesty, her vulnerability, contrasted with the image of the rich and powerful woman on the poster. But $2 million, that amount would completely change their lives. It could pay for Isabella's treatment, enroll her in a private school, guarantee a future that Maria could never provide with her cleaning jobs. "Anna, if you found out who you really are, and if you were someone important, would you abandon us?" Anna held Maria's calloused hands between hers. "Maria, you two are the only family I remember having. Even if I fully recover my memory, that will never change. You saved me." At that moment, Maria made a decision that would change all their lives forever. She looked once more at Isabella sleeping, at Anna with her grateful green eyes, and at the peeling walls of the apartment that barely held the dreams she had for her daughter. $2 million. The number echoed in her mind like a promise and a curse at the same time. Continue 1758. Topic 2. The Weight of Discovery. Throughout the afternoon, Maria couldn't concentrate on anything other than the poster she had seen that morning. While Anna played dolls with Isabella on the living room floor, teaching her to style Barbie's hair with delicate and precise movements that clearly indicated familiarity with expensive salons, Maria pretended to fold clothes, but her thoughts revolved around a single question. what to do with the information she possessed. "Mom, look how Aunt Anna did Bonnie's hair." Isabella ran to her, holding the doll with an elaborate hairstyle that looked like it came from a fashion magazine. She said she learned this when she was little, in a place where all the girls knew how to do pretty hairstyles. Anna blushed slightly, as if she had revealed more than she intended. "It was just a memory that came out of nowhere. I don't even know if it's real." Maria observed Anna's confused expression. In recent months, these fragmented memories had become more frequent. Anna knew how to prepare sophisticated dishes, even with simple ingredients, recognized brands of imported beauty products, and once corrected Isabella on the correct pronunciation of a word in Spanish. All these signs that Maria had ignored while being too busy trying to survive. "Aunt Anna, can you teach me to speak like you? All pretty like that?" Isabella imitated Anna's refined accent, making both women laugh. "Of course, Princess, but you already speak very well. It's just a matter of, how can I explain, knowing the right words for each moment." Maria noticed the careful way Anna chose her words, as if she were constantly policing herself not to reveal too much about herself. But reveal what? If she had completely lost her memory, how could she be consciously hiding something? At 5 in the afternoon, when Anna went out to buy bread at John's bakery, a routine she had adopted religiously, Maria took the opportunity to access the internet on the prepaid phone she used only for emergencies. She searched for Helena Miranda Castro missing and felt her stomach turn with what she found. The first article was from a magazine. "Wife of mogul disappears without a trace. Helena Miranda Castro, 38, married to businessman Eduardo Castro, owner of the Castro Enterprises Group, disappeared on December 15th after leaving her residence in Beverly Hills. The couple has no children. Eduardo Castro is offering a reward of $2 million for information leading to the whereabouts of his wife." Maria continued reading, her hands trembling. Eduardo Castro was described as one of the richest men in the United States, owner of a holding company that controlled construction, shopping centers, and luxury hotels. Helena had a degree in fine arts from UCLA, was the daughter of a traditional family from Los Angeles, and was known for her philanthropic work in institutions caring for underprivileged children. $2 million, she murmured to herself, looking around the apartment. With that amount, she could buy her own apartment in a better neighborhood, enroll Isabella in the best private school in Los Angeles, pay for the complete treatment for the girl's foot problem, and still have money left over to start a small business. But at the same time, Anna had become part of the family. During the worst days, when Maria came home exhausted after working 14 hours straight, she found Anna helping Isabella with her homework, dinner ready, and the house tidy. She had never asked for money, never complained about the simple conditions, never showed any hurry to leave. "Mum, Aunt Anna is back!" Isabella shouted from the window. Maria quickly put away her phone, trying to assume a natural expression when Anna entered with the warm bread. "Mr. John asked if you need more work," Anna commented, arranging the bread in the cloth bag they used to save money. "He said his daughter is looking for someone to clean her house twice a week." "That would be good," Maria replied mechanically. "I need to save money for—" She paused, looking at Isabella's foot. The girl was limping slightly, but Maria knew the pain was getting worse. "For Isa's treatment," Anna gently completed. "Maria, I know you're worried about that. If I could help—" "Anna, you already help so much. I don't know what we would do without you." Anna stepped closer, taking Maria's hands with a tenderness that never seemed forced. "You saved me, Maria. I don't know where I was, but I know I was very lost when you found me. I can't repay everything you've done for me." The weight of guilt crushed Maria's chest. How could she let Anna go knowing that she had found peace and security in her home? But how could she deny her own daughter the chance for a better future? "Anna, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "If you discovered something about your past, something that changed everything, would you want to know?" Anna fell silent for a long moment, looking out the small window that faced the courtyard of the building. "I sometimes have nightmares. I dream of a man who is always shouting, of very large places where I feel alone, of situations where I can't breathe properly. I wake up scared, scared to remember. But what if it was something good? What if you had a family looking for you?" "You and Isabella are my family," Anna replied without hesitation. "If I had another life before, and if the people from that life really cared about me, they would have found me by now, don't you think?" Maria felt her heart break. Anna didn't know that there were people looking for her. She didn't know that her picture was spread all over Los Angeles, that private investigators were scouring every neighborhood in the city, that a desperate husband was offering a fortune for news of her. That night, after Isabella fell asleep, and Anna settled on the couch with a used book she had bought at the corner thrift store, Maria stayed awake in the dark room, staring at the peeling ceiling. She could hear her daughter's heavy breathing beside her, interspersed with small whimpers of pain that the girl made while sleeping because of the problem with her foot. She picked up her phone again and searched for more information about Edward Carter. She found photos of him at social events, a man in his mid-40s, graying at the temples, with a serious expression, always impeccably dressed. In all the recent photos, he looked haggard, with deep, dark circles under his eyes and a sadness that expensive clothes couldn't disguise. An article from the Los Angeles Times featured a recent interview. "I will not give up on finding her. Helena is the most important person in my life. If anyone knows anything, no matter how small, I beg you to reach out. I don't care about the reward money. I just want my wife back." Maria closed her eyes, feeling tears streaming down her face. On one side, a desperate man searching for the woman he loved. On the other, a woman who had found peace in anonymity, far from a past that haunted her in nightmares. And in the middle of it all, her daughter who urgently needed expensive medical treatment. At 3 a.m, she quietly got up and went to the living room. Anna was sleeping on the couch, but her features were tense, as if she were having one of the nightmares she had mentioned. Maria noticed that she was gripping the pillow tightly, as if it were a shield against something terrible. "Please, no," Anna murmured in her sleep. "I didn't know. Please let me go." Maria felt a chill run down her spine. Anna was dreaming of something specific, not just confused fragments of memory. There was real fear in those words, genuine terror. She approached carefully and gently touched her shoulder. "Anna, wake up. You're having a nightmare." Anna opened her eyes suddenly, her whole body tense. It took her a few seconds to recognize where she was and who the person beside her was. "Maria, I'm sorry. I was dreaming again. Do you want to talk about it?" Anna sat up on the couch, running her hands through her messy hair. There were many well-dressed people in a very elegant place, and I was running, trying to escape from something. Someone was chasing me, saying that I couldn't leave, that I knew too much. Maria felt her heart race. Knew too much about what? "I don't know. When I wake up, the images get confusing. I just remember the feeling of great fear and that I needed to disappear." At that moment, looking at Anna's frightened face, Maria made a decision. No matter how much money was at stake, she couldn't let Anna go without fully understanding what had happened to her. If Anna had escaped from a dangerous situation, returning her without guarantees would be like signing her death sentence. "Anna, tomorrow we're going out together. I want to show you something." "You're acting strange today." Isabella commented with the brutal honesty of children. "You two look like you've been fighting." Anna forced a smile, stroking the girl's hair. "We didn't fight, Princess. Sometimes adults get worried about boring things, that's all." After Isabella left for school, taken by the neighbor Mrs. Conception, who did this favor in exchange for a few hours of cleaning each week, Maria took a deep breath and approached Anna, who was washing the coffee dishes in the small kitchen sink. "Anna, do you remember what I said yesterday, that I wanted to show you something?" Anna stopped scrubbing the plate, her hands freezing under the soapy water. "I remember. It's about me, isn't it? About who I was before?" "It could be. I need you to come with me to Sunset Boulevard. There's something there that might spark a memory." The silence that followed was thick, laden with tension. Anna slowly turned off the faucet, drying her hands on the well-worn dish towel. When she turned to face Maria, her green eyes were filled with a fear she was trying to mask. "Maria, I'm scared to remember. What if it's something terrible? What if I find out I'm a bad person?" "Anna, in the last 6 months, I've seen you care for my daughter as if she were your own family. I've seen you share the last spoonful of rice with us, teach Isabella with infinite patience, clean this apartment as if it were a palace. Bad people don't do that." "But what if—" Anna hesitated, biting her lower lip. "What if I find out I have responsibilities I can't fulfill? Or worse, what if I discover someone is looking for me for bad reasons?" Maria stepped closer, taking Anna's hands in hers. "Whatever you find out, we'll face it together. You're not alone, you understand? No matter what happens, you'll always have a place here with us." Anna closed her eyes, taking a deep breath. "Okay, let's go." The journey to Sunset Boulevard was made in tense silence. Anna looked out the bus window, watching the urban landscape gradually change from South Side to the more central areas of the city. Maria noticed how she instinctively recognized certain points in the city, as if her body remembered the way, even if her conscious mind couldn't access that information. "I've been here before," Anna murmured when they got off at the Republic subway station. "Do you remember when?" "No, it's just a feeling, like these places were part of an old routine." When they arrived at Sunset Boulevard, Maria slowly guided Anna to the pole where the poster was stuck. There were other overlapping posters, but Helen Carter's was still visible, a bit more worn from the rain. The night before. "Anna, I want you to look here," Maria said softly, positioning herself so she could observe every reaction. Anna approached the poster, her eyes first scanning the word "missing" in bold letters. When she reached the photograph, she froze completely, as if struck by lightning. I know this woman," she whispered, her voice almost inaudible amid the traffic noise. "From where?" Anna placed her hand on her chest, her breathing quickening. "From the mirror. I see this face in the mirror every day, but that's not how I remember myself." "Anna, breathe slowly. It's okay." "No, it's not." Anna pulled away from the poster abruptly, her hands trembling. "Maria, that's me, isn't it? This woman on the poster is me." Maria nodded silently, preparing to support Anna if she fainted. "Helen Carter." Anna read the name aloud, as if trying out the sound of the words. $2 million reward." She turned to Maria, her eyes filling with tears. "Did you know? Since when did you know?" "Since yesterday. Isabella recognized you first." Anna began to pace the sidewalk, running her hands through her hair repeatedly. $2 million, Maria. $2 million. And you? Why didn't you turn me in immediately? Why didn't you call this number?" "Because you're my family now," Maria replied firmly. "Because I needed to understand what really happened to you before making any decision." "My family?" Anna stopped pacing, staring at Maria with an expression of disbelief mixed with gratitude. You gave up $2 million for me? I haven't given up anything yet, but I needed to be sure that turning you in would be the right thing to do. Anna looked back at the poster, this time paying attention to the smaller details. Edward Carter. That name sounds familiar, very familiar. She touched her left hand, running her finger over the clear mark left by a wedding ring. Was I married to him? According to the reports I read, yes. You were married for 15 years. 15 years. Anna closed her eyes, concentrating. Why can't I remember his face? Why, when I try to remember a husband, do I only feel fear? What kind of fear? Anna was silent for a long moment, clearly struggling against fragments of memory trying to surface. Fear of disappointing him, of not being good enough, of always doing something wrong. Her tears began to fall more intensely. Maria, what if I run away for a very serious reason? What if going back is dangerous? Maria hugged Anna, feeling her friend's body tremble against hers. Then we'll find out the truth before anything else. But Anna, Helen, I don't even know what to call you now. I'm Anna, she replied immediately. At least for now. Helen feels like someone I met a long time ago, but who I am not anymore. All right, Anna, let's go home and think calmly about what to do. But Anna pulled away from the embrace, looking again at the poster, with a determination that Maria didn't, as she expected. No, Maria, we can't just ignore this. This man has been looking for me for months. If I really am his wife, he has the right to know that I'm alive. But you just said you're afraid of him. I'm afraid of the confusing memories in my head, but it's not fair to let him suffer if there's no real reason for it. Anna took out the simple phone that Maria had bought for her and jotted down the number from the flyer. I'm going to call. Anna, no. At least, let's think this through first. But Anna was already dialing. With trembling hands, she waited for the call to connect. Hello? It's about the woman from the flyer. About Helen Carter, she said, her voice choked. I think I know where she is. Maria felt the ground disappear beneath her feet. On the other end of the line, she could hear a desperate male voice asking questions rapidly. She's okay, Anna continued, tears streaming down her face. She's safe, but I need you to understand that she doesn't remember much. She experienced some kind of trauma that affected her memory. The conversation lasted only a few minutes, but for Maria, it felt like an eternity. Anna set up a meeting for the next day at a neutral cafe in downtown. Why did you do that? Maria asked when Anna hung up the phone. Because, Anna replied, wiping her tears, I can't build a new life on the pain of others. If this man truly loves me, he deserves to know that I'm alive. And if he doesn't love me, well, then I need to find that out too. The two women stood on the busy sidewalk of Sunset Boulevard, each lost in their own thoughts. Maria thought about the $2 million that could change Isabella's life forever. Anna thought about the man she had spoken to on the phone, with a voice broken by emotion, wondering why she couldn't remember being loved by someone that way. Neither of them knew that their lives were about to change irreversibly. The night passed in a blur of insomnia and anxiety. Maria stayed awake listening to Anna toss and turn on the couch, murmuring incomprehensible words during nightmares that seemed to have intensified after the discovery of the flyer. Isabella, with the keen intuition of children, sensed that something serious was happening and asked more questions than usual during breakfast. Mom, is Aunt Anna leaving? The girl asked directly, looking at Anna with those big, worried eyes. Anna stopped combing her hair and knelt down to Isabella's level. Princess, I don't know what's going to happen today, but I want you to know one thing. No matter where I am, you will always be my special girl, okay? But you promised you would teach me to play Asa Branca on the keyboard. And I will teach you. It might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, but I will teach you. Anna kissed the girl's forehead, holding back tears. Now go to school and be the smart girl you are, all right? After Isabella left with Mrs. Johnson, Anna and Maria prepared in silence for the meeting at the cafe. Anna had chosen the simplest outfit she owned, a navy blue blouse that Maria had bought on sale and a faded pair of jeans. But even so, her naturally elegant posture made her look different, as if the discovery of her identity had released aspects of her personality that had been dormant. The coffee house was located in downtown, an old establishment with marble tables and mirrors reflecting decades of Los Angeles stories. Anna and Maria arrived 15 minutes early, choosing a table at the back where they could observe the entrance. "Do you remember him?" Maria asked, noticing how Anna was watching every man who entered the cafe. "I can't form a clear image. It's like I remember sensations, you know? I remember feeling small next to someone, always having to think twice before speaking, walking silently through a very large house." Anna nervously stirred the sugar, her fingers trembling slightly. "Maria, what if I find out he was a terrible person? What if I deserved whatever happened to me?" Before Maria could respond, a man entered the cafe, and Anna froze completely. Edward Carter was taller than he appeared in the photos, with broad shoulders accentuated by his well-tailored clothes. His greying hair was tousled, as if he had run his hands through it repeatedly, and his deep-set eyes told the story of months of sleepless nights. He looked around the cafe until his eyes found Anna. For a moment the world seemed to stop. Edward stood frozen at the entrance, his expression going through a rapid sequence of emotions: disbelief, relief, pain, and something that Maria couldn't fully identify. "Helen," he whispered, even though he was too far away for her to hear. Anna slowly stood up, her legs clearly trembling. "It's him," she murmured to Maria. I recognize the voice from the phone, but I don't remember the face." Edward approached the table with hesitant steps, as if he were afraid Anna would disappear again if he moved too quickly. When he got close enough, Maria could see that his eyes were moist. "Helen, my God, Helen, you're okay." He reached out his hand as if to touch her, but stopped halfway, realizing the look of confusion on her face. I'm sorry, but I don't remember you," Anna said in a low but firm voice. "This is Maria Johnson, the woman who found me and took care of me for the last 6 months. Edward turned to Maria, and she saw genuine gratitude mixed with something more complex in his eyes. "Ma'am Johnson, I have no words to thank you for what you did for my wife." "She is no longer your wife," Maria replied more firmly than she intended. "I mean, she doesn't remember being your wife." The comment fell like a stone into the silence of the coffee shop. Edward pulled out a chair and sat down, clearly trying to process the situation. "Helen, do you really not remember anything? Nothing at all?" His voice was laden with a pain that made Maria's heart tighten. Anna shook her head slowly. "Sometimes I have fragments, confusing images. I remember large places, feeling alone, being scared. But I don't remember faces, I don't remember names." "Do you remember our house? Your studio? Where you painted? The trips we took?" "I paint?" Anna asked, surprised. "I mean, I knew how to paint." Edward took his phone out of his pocket and showed her pictures. You are an incredible artist. These are some of your works." Anna looked at the images on the small screen, her eyes widening. "I did that? Really?" "You did. You have extraordinary talent. Your paintings are in major galleries. You've had solo exhibitions." "But I don't remember any of this." Anna interrupted, frustration clear in her voice. "It's like you're talking about a completely different person." Edward put his phone away, his expression becoming more cautious. "Helen, do you remember why you left home? Do you remember what happened the day you disappeared?" Anna was silent for a long moment, concentrating intensely. Maria could see the effort she was making to access those blocked memories. "I remember rain, a lot of rain, and running. I was running from something or someone." Anna looked directly at Edward. "Was I running away from you?" The question hit Edward like a punch. His expression of pain was so intense that even Maria felt the urge to comfort him. "No, Helen, you never ran away from me. We had an argument that morning, but it was nothing serious. It was about—" He hesitated, clearly reluctant to continue. "About what?" Maria asked, her voice sharp. "About having children. Helen wanted us to adopt a child, and I said I wasn't ready. It was a stupid conversation that we had 1,000 times. You left to calm down, as you always did when you were upset with me." Anna leaned forward in her chair. "Children? I wanted to have children? You wanted it very much. You always said our house was too quiet, that it lacked the sound of children running through the halls." Maria watched Anna process this information, seeing how she looked out the window of the coffee shop as if imagining the life she couldn't remember. "And after I left, what happened?" Anna asked. "You didn't come back home. Hours passed, and you didn't answer your phone. When night fell, I went out to look for you. I found your car abandoned in a parking lot downtown, with the keys in the ignition and your bag on the seat." Edward ran his hand through his hair, a gesture that Maria recognized as a nervous habit. "Since then, I hired the best investigators in the country. I went to every hospital, every police station, every shelter. I offered rewards, gave interviews on television, plastered posters all over the city." "6 months," Anna murmured. "I was missing for 6 months, and you never stopped looking." "Never. And I would never stop." The silence that followed was thick with conflicting emotions. Maria watched Anna's expression, seeing the internal conflict between gratitude for the man who clearly loved her and the complete absence of emotional recognition. "Edward," Anna said, trying, "the name for the first time. Is that what I called you?" "Sometimes. Other times you called me Do, or my love when you were in a particularly good mood." Anna smiled sadly. "I'm sorry, but those words mean nothing to me. It's like you're telling the story of someone else." Edward took a deep breath, clearly trying to control himself. "Helen, I understand that you need time. The important thing is that you are alive and safe. We can rebuild our life together. We can create new memories." "And what if I don't want to?" Anna asked softly but firmly. "What if I find out that I like the life I've built over the last 6 months? What if I don't want to be Helen Carter again?" The question hit Edward like a second punch, even more devastating than the first. He looked at Maria, then back at Anna, clearly lost. Then I would wait," he finally said. "I would wait as long as it took. But Helen, you are my wife. We built a life together for 15 years. That has to mean something." "It does," Anna agreed, "but not for the person I am now." The declaration echoed in the coffee shop like a final verdict. Edward slowly stood up, took a business card from his pocket and placed it on the table. "My phone number is on this card. If you want to know more about who you were, call me. And please," he looked at Maria, "thank you for taking care of her. If you need anything at all, don't hesitate to reach out to me." After he left, Anna and Maria sat in silence, watching him through the coffee shop window as he got into a black limousine with a driver. "Do you believe him?" Maria asked. "I believe that he loves me," Anna replied slowly, "but I don't believe that's all there is." There's something he's not telling, some reason why my subconscious is so afraid to remember. Maria picked up the business card that Edward had left. Anna, that $2 million. You can still claim it. You found me. You are entitled to the reward. But what about you? What will you do now? Anna looked out the window once more, as if the answer lay in the bustle of the streets of Los Angeles. I will find out why I ran away, and I will discover if I have reasons to keep running. Topic 5. Dangerous Revelations. The days following the meeting at the coffee house were marked by increasing tension in the small apartment in Southside. Anna had become even more introverted, spending hours sitting by the living room window, watching the street traffic as if waiting for answers to appear among the hurried pedestrians and stalled cars. Maria, on the other hand, couldn't stop thinking about the business card that Edward had left. 2 weeks had passed since the meeting, and the family's financial situation was becoming increasingly tight. Isabella's foot problem had worsened, causing the girl to visibly limp, and the doctor at the health clinic had been clear. Surgery was necessary, which would cost at least $15,000 if done privately. "Aunt Anna, are you okay?" Isabella asked on a Thursday morning, sitting next to Anna on the sofa. "You don't smile like you used to." Anna ran her hand through the girl's hair, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I'm just thinking about some things, Princess, adult things that can be complicated to understand." "Is it about that man you went to meet? The rich man?" Maria, who was preparing coffee in the kitchen, paid attention to the conversation. They had tried to hide the details from Isabella, but the girl was more observant than they had imagined. "Partly, yes," Anna replied honestly. "He says he's known me for a long time, but I don't remember him. It's like someone telling me I can fly, but when I try to move my arms, nothing happens." "But you like being here with us, don't you?" "I like it very much. You are the most important people in my life." Isabella smiled, satisfied with the answer, but Maria noticed the hesitation in Anna's voice. There was something she wasn't telling. That afternoon, after Isabella left for school, Maria confronted Anna directly. "Anna, you're hiding something from me. What is it?" Anna sighed deeply, getting up from the sofa and walking to the small kitchen window. "Maria, since the meeting with Edward, the memories have been coming back more intensely. They aren't complete memories, but fragments that scare me a lot." "What kind of fragments?" "I remember arguments. Not just about children, as he said. Arguments about money, about businesses, that weren't clean." Anna turned to face Maria, her green eyes filled with fear. "I think I discovered something about Edward, something he shouldn't be doing. And I think that's why I ran away." Maria felt a chill run down her spine. "What kind of thing?" "I'm not sure. They're just confusing images. I remember papers, strange names, accounts in banks from other countries. And I remember someone telling me that if I talked about it, it would be dangerous for me." "Anna, you need to be sure before making any accusations. Edward seems to be an upstanding man." "Seems," Anna interrupted, "but rich and powerful people are very good at looking upright, even when they aren't." That night, Anna had the most intense nightmare since they had discovered her identity. Maria woke up to her screams, finding her sitting on the sofa, her body drenched in sweat and trembling. It was a meeting," Anna said between sobs. "Men in suits talking about washing something. And I was there, listening to everything, trying to understand why my husband was among those people." "Are you sure it's not just your imagination, mixing fragments from movies or books?" "I am. Because I remember the smell of the office. I remember the taste of the coffee they served. I remember every detail of the outfit I was wearing that day." Anna looked at Maria urgently. "Maria, I need to find out the truth. I need to know if Edward is involved in anything illegal." How do you plan to do that? Anna picked up the business card that had been on the coffee table since the meeting at the coffee house. I will accept his invitation. I will go back home and investigate discreetly. Anna, that's crazy. If your suspicions are correct, you could be putting yourself in danger. And if I do nothing, I might be putting others in danger. Maria, if Edward is really involved in money laundering, there are many victims besides me. On Friday morning, Anna called Edward. Maria stood beside her, only hearing one side of the conversation, but noticing from Edward's change in voice that he was thrilled with the call. Edward? It's Anna? Helen? I would like to see our home. Maybe that will help with the memories, she said, looking at Maria with a determination that frightened her. The conversation lasted only a few minutes. But when Anna hung up, Maria knew their lives were about to change again. He's picking me up this afternoon. He said he prepared my studio just like I left it, hoping I would come back. Anna, I'm going with you. No, Maria, this is something I need to do alone. Besides, you need to stay with Isabella. Then at least promise me one thing. If you feel any danger, anything that doesn't seem right, you call me immediately. Anna hugged Maria, and for the first time since they had met, Maria felt as if she were embracing a farewell. At 4 p.m, Edward arrived in a smaller, more discreet car than the Mercedes he had used on the day of the meeting. Anna had dressed in the most elegant outfit she owned, a simple white blouse and her least faded jeans, but still felt completely out of place next to Edward's sober luxury. Helen, are you sure you're ready for this? Edward asked as he drove through the streets toward Beverly Hills. Ready or not, I need to try. These fragments of memory are driving me crazy. Maria watched the car pull away. From the apartment window, a terrible feeling that there was something about to happen. Anna had made a mistake by letting Anna leave alone. She grabbed her cell phone and saved Edward's number in her contacts, deciding she would call in 2 hours if she hadn't heard anything. The house in Beverly Hills was even more impressive than Anna had imagined. A 2-story mansion with immaculate gardens, a pool, and a garage that could fit 4 cars. Everything was perfect, clean, and organized, as if a team of staff kept the place always ready for the return of the owner. Wow, did I really live here? Anna asked, stepping out of the car and observing the facade of the house. For 15 years, you chose every detail of the decor, every plant in the garden. But when Anna entered the house, instead of familiarity, she felt a strange emptiness, as if she were visiting a museum of a life that didn't belong to her. The furniture was expensive and elegant. The artwork on the walls was sophisticated, but nothing evoked any emotion or recognition. This was your favorite place, Edward said, opening the door to a room on the 2nd floor. The studio was flooded with natural light, with easels, paints, and canvases scattered just as Anna had left them 6 months earlier. There were several unfinished paintings, all with a refined style that Anna admired, but she couldn't believe she had created those works. Edward, can I have a few moments alone here? Maybe that will help the memories come back. Of course. I'll be in the office if you need me. Just go down the stairs and turn right. When Edward left, Anna began to systematically explore the studio. She rummaged through drawers, flipped through sketchbooks, trying to find something that sparked a flicker of recognition. That's when she found, hidden behind a larger canvas, a notebook that seemed different from the others. The pages contained not only sketches but also numbers, company names, and notes about bank transfers. Anna recognized her own handwriting, but the information was completely foreign to her. There were references to accounts in tax havens, names of important politicians, and amounts reaching into the millions. Shell Company, account in Cayman, laundering $50 million. Anna read aloud, her hands trembling. Oh my God, I really discovered something. That's when she heard footsteps on the stairs. Quickly, she hid the notebook among her clothes and pretended to be admiring one of the paintings when Edward entered the studio. "Did you find anything interesting?" he asked, but Anna noticed something different in his tone. Just admiring my own work. It's surreal not to remember creating these pieces." Edward stepped closer, getting very near her. "Helen, do you remember why you were so nervous in the last weeks before you disappeared?" The question sounded more like an interrogation than marital concern. Anna instinctively felt danger, but tried to keep her voice calm. "No, why? Was I nervous?" "Very. You were asking strange questions about my business, wanting to know details about my companies. You even asked to see documents you had never shown interest in before." Anna realized that Edward was testing her, trying to find out how much she really remembered. The notebook hidden in her clothes felt like it weighed a ton. "Edward, I think I'm tired. Could you take me back home? I mean, to Maria's house?" Edward watched her for a long moment, his calculating eyes analyzing every expression on her face. "Of course, my love, but Helen, if you remember anything at all, you'll tell me, won't you? After all, we are husband and wife. We shouldn't have secrets." The way he said secrets made Anna sure she was in real danger. As Edward drove her back to Southside, she mentally planned how to use the information from the notebook to uncover the whole truth about her husband and how to protect Maria and Isabella from what was to come. Continue 1827. Topic 6. The explosive discovery. The notebook burned like fire against Anna's body throughout the journey back. Every time Edward glanced at her in the rearview mirror, she felt as if he could see through her clothes and discover what she had hidden. When they finally arrived at the apartment in Southside, Anna quickly said goodbye, claiming she had a headache, and rushed up the 3 flights of stairs. "Anna, how was it?" Maria stood up from the sofa as soon as she entered, but stopped when she saw the terrified expression on her friend's face. "What happened?" Anna locked the door with 2 turns of the key, something she never did, and only then took the notebook out from under her shirt. "Maria, I found it. I found the proof of what I suspected." "What proof?" Anna opened the notebook on the coffee table, her hands trembling as she flipped through the pages. "I was investigating Edward. Look here. Horizon Construction, ghost account, $12 million transferred to Swiss bank. And here, meeting with Congressman Smith, bribe for approval of Bill 4582. Maria leaned in to see better, her eyes widening as she read the notes. "Anna, this is very serious. If it's true..." "It is true. I remember writing every line of those notes. I remember hiding in Edward's office, copying documents when he wasn't home. I remember the fear I felt every time I discovered new evidence." Isabella arrived home from school at that moment, finding the 2 women hunched over the notebook with tense expressions. "Mom, what is this? Why do you both look scared?" It's Aunt Anna's school project, sweetheart. Shall we have a snack?" Maria quickly closed the notebook, but Anna stopped her. "No, Maria. Isabella is part of the family. She has the right to know that she might be in danger because of me." "Danger?" Isabella dropped her backpack on the floor. "What danger?" Anna knelt down to the girl's level, taking her small hands. "Remember the man who came to pick me up today? I discovered that he might not be a good person." "Good. And that means that bad people might try to find me here. But you will protect us, right, Aunt Anna?" "I will try, Princess, but maybe it would be better if I left for a while so I don't put you at risk." "No!" Isabella shouted, throwing herself into Anna's arms. "You can't leave! You promised you would teach me how to play Asa Branca!" Maria watched the scene with a broken heart. Over the past 6 months, Anna had become not just a friend, but a second mother to Isabella. Separating the 2 would be cruel, but keeping Anna there could be too dangerous. Anna, what exactly do you plan to do with this information? I need to turn it over to the authorities, but first, I need to make sure you'll be safe. That night, after Isabella fell asleep, Anna and Maria stayed up planning their next steps. The notebook was spread out on the kitchen table, and the more they read, the graver the situation seemed. Anna, look at this. Maria pointed to a note in the corner of a page. If something happens to me, give everything to Federal Agent Marcus Johnson, trustworthy. You wrote down the name of someone you trusted. I vaguely remember him. An older man with grey hair, always very serious. I think he was a friend of my father's. Then we have a lead. Tomorrow you look for this agent. But their plans were interrupted by a loud knock on the door. It was almost 11 at night, an unusual time for visitors in the building. Who could it be? Maria whispered. Anna slowly stood up, a bad feeling settling in her stomach. Helen, I know you're in there. I need to talk to you. It was Edward's voice, but there was something different in his tone. He was no longer the desperate and passionate man from the cafe. It was a cold, controlled voice. Don't open, Anna whispered to Maria, but Edward continued speaking. Helen, I know you found something in the studio today. I saw you rummaging through the drawers, flipping through your old notebooks. I need you to give me back what you took. Anna felt her blood run cold. How could he know she had taken the notebook? Unless... Maria, she whispered, I think he put cameras in the studio. He knew I would go through things. Helen, I'm going to count to 10. If you don't open the door, I'll use other methods. 1. Anna looked around the apartment desperately, searching for an escape. There was no fire escape, and the window faced an internal courtyard 3 stories high. 2. The notebook, Maria whispered urgently. Where can we hide the notebook? 3. Anna ran to the bedroom where Isabella was sleeping. The girl was deeply asleep, hugging the teddy bear she had received the previous year. Carefully, Anna hid the notebook under the mattress at the foot of the bed. 4. Anna, you need to run, Maria said when she returned to the living room. I'll open the door and say you're not here. 5. No, he won't believe that, and he could harm you or Isabella. 6. So, what do we do? 7. Anna took a deep breath and headed to the door. Edward, I'm going to open, but I want you to know that I have neighbors, and if you do anything to me, they will call the police. 8. She slowly unlocked the door. Edward was in the hallway, but he was not alone. 2 men in dark suits accompanied him, both with cold expressions that made it clear they were not just security. Helen, we need to talk. Actually, you need to come with me. I'm not going anywhere. If you want to talk, you can talk right here. Edward sighed, making an almost imperceptible signal to the men beside him. Helen, you've always been stubborn, but this time you have no choice. One of the men stepped forward, and Anna noticed the suspicious bulge in his jacket. He was armed. All right, she said quickly, I'll go with you. But leave Maria and the girl alone. They don't know anything. That will depend on what you did with what you took from the house today. Anna looked at Maria one last time, trying to convey everything she couldn't say out loud. Take care of Isabella. Look for Federal Agent Marcus Johnson. Trust Edward under no circumstances. Maria, thank you for everything. Take good care of Isabella. Anna, no! But Edward was already leading Anna out of the apartment, his 2 companions blocking any attempt to resist. Maria stood frozen at the door, listening to their footsteps going down the stairs, her heart pounding so hard she was sure it would wake Isabella. When the sound of footsteps completely disappeared, she ran to the bedroom and gently woke her daughter. Isa, my love, wake up. We need to leave the house for a few days. Why, Mom? Where's Aunt Anna? Aunt Anna had to travel, but she left something very important for us to take care of. Maria took the notebook from under the mattress, her hands trembling. For the first time in 6 months, she was completely alone with the responsibility of protecting her daughter. But now she also had the responsibility of saving Anna and delivering $2 million in evidence against one of the most powerful men in Los Angeles. "Mom, is Aunt Anna coming back?" Maria looked at the notebook in her hands, thinking of the cold man who had taken Anna away, the 2 armed thugs, the web of corruption that the notes revealed. "She will come back, my love. But first, Mommy needs to be very brave." As they packed a bag with the essentials, Maria thought of Federal Agent Marcus Johnson and hoped he was truly the person Anna trusted, because now her best friend's life depended entirely on the decisions she would make in the next few hours. Outside the building, Edward watched the lights in Maria's apartment flicker on and off several times. "She doesn't have the notebook," he said to one of the men. "The other woman kept it." "Do you want us to go up again?" "No. Let her run first. Let's see exactly where she will take the evidence, and then," Edward smiled coldly, "we'll solve all our problems at once." Continue 1833, Topic 7, The Desperate Escape. Maria had never felt so much fear in her life. Her hands trembled as she packed clothes for herself and Isabella into a grocery bag, the only luggage they had. Anna's notebook was hidden inside an old magazine, and she held it against her chest as if it were the most precious thing in the world, which, considering the circumstances, it truly was. "Mom, why are we leaving in the middle of the night?" Isabella asked, still sleepy, as Maria helped her put on her coat. "Because sometimes, Princess, people need to be very brave and do strange things to protect those they love. Like Aunt Anna did when she left with those men." Maria stopped packing and looked at her daughter. Even at 8 years old, Isabella had perfectly understood that Anna had sacrificed herself for them. Just like Aunt Anna did. They exited the building through the back door, which led to the courtyard where children played during the day. Maria knew every alley and shortcut in the neighborhood after 2 years of living there, and she used that knowledge to avoid the main street where Edward might be waiting. Mrs. Johnson's house was 3 blocks ahead, on a narrow lane where only small cars could fit. Maria prayed that the neighbor was still awake when she rang the doorbell at 11:30 at night. "Maria? Girl, what time is it? Is something wrong?" Mrs. Johnson opened the door wearing a floral robe, her grey hair pinned up in curlers. "Mrs. Johnson, I really need your help. Can you take care of Isabella for a few days? It's an emergency." The older woman looked at Isabella, who was clinging to her mother's skirt with sleepy eyes, and then back at Maria, noticing the desperation in her expression. "Of course, my dear. Come in, come in. Would you like some coffee? You're shaking." "I can't stay long. I need to take care of something very important, and it might be dangerous for Isabella to be with me." "Dangerous how?" Maria hesitated. Mrs. Johnson was a simple woman who worked as a seamstress and raised her grandchildren alone after her daughter died in an accident. How to explain money laundering, corrupt politicians, and criminal businessmen? "Mrs. Johnson, Anna, the girl who lived with me. She found out that her ex-husband is involved with very dangerous people. They took her away tonight, and I need to take some evidence to the federal police." "My God! And the girl?" "That's why I need you to take care of her. If they stay with me, they could get hurt." Mrs. Johnson picked up Isabella, even though the girl was too big for that. "Don't worry, dear. Isabella can stay with me as long as needed. I have an extra bed in Julia's room." Maria kissed her daughter, trying not to cry. "My love, you will stay with Mrs. Johnson for a few days. Behave well, and if anyone asks where Mommy is, you say you don't know, okay? Will you bring Aunt Anna back?" I will try very, very hard." After leaving Isabella, Maria walked to the main avenue where she could catch a bus to downtown. It was almost midnight when she finally arrived in the downtown area, and everything was closed. She would have to wait until the next morning to look for federal agent Marcus Johnson. She spent the night in a 24-hour diner, drinking coffee after coffee and reading every line of Anna's notebook. The more she read, the more impressed she became with her friend's courage. The notes showed months of careful investigation, documenting a corruption scheme involving politicians, businessmen, and even some judges. Meeting at the headquarters of Horizon Construction, 10 to 15 present. Edward Carter, Congressman Robert Smith, Judge Marcelo Tavares discussed release of the permit in exchange for campaign contributions. She read one of the more detailed notes. At 6 in the morning, Maria was at the door of the federal police in Los Angeles. The building was imposing, with armed security at the entrance and a constant flow of serious-looking people coming in and out. "I need to speak with Agent Marcus Johnson," she said to the receptionist officer. "Do you have an appointment?" "No, but it's about the case of Helen Carter. It's urgent." The officer made a few calls, and 15 minutes later, a man in his 60s, completely grey hair and a serious expression, appeared at the reception. "Ma'am, I'm Agent Marcus Johnson. I heard you have information about Helen Carter." "I do, but I prefer to talk in private." He led her to a small room with a table and 2 chairs. Maria noticed there were recorders and cameras. It was an interrogation room. "Ma'am, Maria Johnson. And before anything else, I need you to know that Helen is in danger right now." Marcus leaned forward, his attention fully focused. "What do you mean?" "She had been living with me for the last 6 months. Yesterday she discovered her true identity and went to visit her husband. She found this at his house." Maria took the notebook out of her bag and placed it on the table. Marcus opened the notebook, and his eyes widened as he read the first pages. My God, Helen managed to document everything. "Do you know her from before?" "I knew Helen when she was a child. She was very close to my son, who died in a car accident 10 years ago. She has always been an upright, brave person." He continued flipping through the notebook. "When she married Edward Carter, I was worried. I always suspected his business wasn't completely clean, but I could never prove anything. Well, she did, and that's why she's in danger." Marcus picked up the internal phone. "I need an emergency team. Rescue operation. Possible kidnapping." He turned around. "Mariana, Mrs. Johnson, I need you to tell me everything from the beginning. Every detail could save Helen's life." Maria recounted the entire story, how she had found Anna unconscious in the rain, the 6 months of living together, the discovery of her identity through the poster, the meeting at the coffee house, and finally the events of the previous night. "And where do you think Edward might have taken Helen?" "I don't know. But, Agent, there's something that worries me. When they left my apartment, Edward was watching the window. I have the impression that he knew I would keep the evidence." Marcus was deep in thought for a moment. "It's possible he's using Helen as bait to retrieve the notebook. Men like Edward Carter don't leave loose ends." "What does that mean?" "It means he's likely going to contact you. He'll offer a trade, the notebook for Helen's life. And what do I do if that happens? You'll accept the trade, but you won't be alone." Marcus was already organizing papers on the table. "We're going to prepare an operation. You'll use a locator, we'll have support teams, and we'll take Edward and the whole gang down at once." At that moment, Maria's phone rang. It was an unknown number. "Answer it," Marcus whispered, signaling to someone outside the room. "Hello?" "Maria, it's Edward Carter. I need to talk to you." Marcus nodded, confirming that the call was being recorded. "Where is Anna?" "Helen is fine, for now. But that depends on you." Edward's voice was cold, very different from the desperate man she had met at the coffee house. "You have something that belongs to me, and I have someone you value. I think we can make a deal." "What kind of deal?" "Simple. You return the notebook that Helen took yesterday, and I return Helen to you. No tricks, no police, no complications." Maria looked at Marcus, who was quickly jotting down instructions on a piece of paper. "How do I know you won't harm her after I hand over the notebook?" Edward laughed, a sound devoid of humor. "You don't know. You'll have to trust me, just as I'll have to trust that you won't do anything stupid like call the police." "Where and when?" "Tonight at 9 in Central Park near the lake. Come alone, bring the notebook, and everyone walks away from this situation alive and happy." The call ended, and Marcus immediately began giving orders on the intercom. "Mrs. Johnson," he said when he finished the calls, "you've just become the most important person in a federal operation. We'll train you all day to ensure everything goes perfectly tonight. And what if something goes wrong? What if they hurt Anna? They won't get the chance. But I'll be honest with you, there is risk. Edward Carter is a desperate man, and desperate men sometimes do unpredictable things." Maria looked out the window of the office, seeing the normal hustle of the city, people going to work, unaware that their lives might be affected by the crimes Edward had committed. "Agent, I just want my friend back, and I want my daughter to grow up in a world where people like Edward Carter can't do whatever they want." "Then let's work together to achieve both." As Marcus organized the operation, Maria thought of Anna, a prisoner somewhere in the city, probably scared and wondering if anyone would come to save her. She also thought of Isabella, safe at Mrs. Johnson's house, but not understanding why her life had turned upside down in just one night. In a few hours, everything would be resolved, for better or for worse. The day passed in a blur of intense preparations at the federal police headquarters. Marcus Johnson had mobilized an elite team for the operation in Central Park, and Maria felt as if she were in an action movie she hadn't asked to star in. Technicians installed a microscopic microphone in her blouse and a tracking device sewn into the lining of her jacket. "Remember, stay calm, speak naturally, and don't try to be a hero," instructed Agent Carmen Smith, a woman in her 40s who would command the field operation. "Our priority is your safety, but we need clear evidence against Edward Carter. What if he gets suspicious? What if he realizes I'm not alone? We'll be far enough away not to be detected, but close enough to intervene if necessary. Trust us, Maria." At 8 o'clock in the evening, Maria was on her way to Central Park in the back seat of a civilian car from the federal police. The notebook was in a simple folder in her hands, but she knew that several copies were already being analyzed by federal prosecutors. Edward didn't know, but his arrest was practically guaranteed. Tonight's operation would primarily serve to rescue Anna safely. Central Park at night had a completely different atmosphere from the daytime bustle. The areas near the lake were poorly lit, creating perfect shadows for clandestine meetings. Maria walked slowly along the path leading to the meeting point, her footsteps echoing in the silence, broken only by the sound of water and the distant roar of traffic. "Base, I'm approaching the location," she whispered into the hidden microphone. "Received, Maria. We have you in sight. 6 agents positioned at strategic points." At exactly 9 o'clock, Edward appeared, alone, walking down the opposite trail. He wore dark clothing and had an expression Maria had never seen before, cold, calculating, completely different from the desperate man she had met at the coffee house. "Maria, you came. Great. Where is Anna?" "First the notebook. First I want to see that she's okay." Edward sighed and gestured with his hand. A dark van parked about 100 meters away flashed its headlights twice. In the brief light, Maria managed to see Anna sat in the back seat, seemingly conscious but with her hands tied. She's fine, as I promised. Now, the notebook. Maria extended the folder but didn't let go when Edward tried to grab it. First, you explained to me why you did all this. Why did you destroy your own wife's life? Helen was always too curious for her own good, Edward said, pulling the folder harder. She could have continued living her luxurious life, painting her canvases, organizing her charity parties. But no, she had to stick her nose where it didn't belong. She discovered your crimes, and you threatened her to make her run away. I protected her, Edward exploded, his mask of coldness slipping for a moment. When she started asking inconvenient questions, when she found out about the offshore accounts, I told her to forget everything and keep being a good wife. But she threatened to report me. So what did you do? I told her that if she tried to destroy me, I would destroy her first. I threatened to sue all the artists who bought her works for tax evasion. I threatened to cut funding for the NGOs she supported. Helen was always very emotional. She couldn't handle the pressure and ran away like a child. Maria felt disgusted by the casual way Edward described the psychological manipulation that had made Anna flee in panic. And you thought she would die out there, problem solved. I thought she would come back in a few days, apologizing and promising to stay quiet. When that didn't happen, Edward shrugged. Let's just say it was an unexpected but efficient solution. Base, are you picking this up? Maria whispered. Perfectly. Keep making him talk. Edward, do you really think you can kill your own wife and continue living normally? Kill? Edward laughed. Maria, you've watched too many movies. Helen will simply disappear again. This time, for good. And you... He looked at her with an expression that made her blood run cold. You will unfortunately suffer an accident trying to save your friend. At that moment, Maria realized that Edward had never planned to let them live. The exchange was just a way to bring her to an isolated location where he could eliminate the two only people who knew the complete truth. Edward, you can't do this. There are people who know where I am. The little girl who's at the neighbor's house, don't worry, we'll take care of her too. Maria's blood ran. Completely cold. Isabella was in danger. Edward had discovered where she had left her daughter. You monster! She's just a child! A child who could grow up and ask inconvenient questions about what happened to Aunt Anna. It was then that Maria saw Anna move inside the van. Even with her hands tied, she had managed to open the door and was trying to escape. Edward, distracted by the conversation, hadn't noticed. Base! Anna is trying to escape from the van. Immediately the bushes around the lake rustled, and 6 federal police agents emerged with weapons drawn. Federal police, Edward. Carter, you are under arrest. Edward turned quickly, trying to draw a gun from his jacket, but Maria instinctively reacted and pushed him hard. He lost his balance and fell into the lake with a deafening splash. In the ensuing chaos, Anna managed to get completely out of the van and ran towards Maria, shouting, "Watch out! He has a gun!" Edward emerged from the water trying to aim a pistol, but the agents were already on him. In a matter of seconds, he was handcuffed and being dragged out of the lake, soaked and defeated. "Anna!" Maria ran to hug her friend, who was shaking from cold and fear, but seemingly unharmed. "Maria, how did you... the police... how did you know where I was?" "Your notebook, Anna. Your notes saved your life." Anna looked at Edward being placed inside a police car, still shouting threats and trying to break free from the handcuffs. "It's strange," she said softly. "Seeing him like this, destroyed and pathetic, I'm starting to remember other things. I remember how small I felt next to him, how he made me question everything I thought or felt. And now, how do you feel now?" Anna was silent for a moment, watching the officers finish the operation. "Free. For the first time in a long time, I feel free." Marcus Johnson approached the two women, a satisfied smile on his face. Ladies, you just helped dismantle a corruption scheme that has been operating for over 10 years. Edward Carter will spend a long time in prison. And Isabella? He threatened my daughter. I've already sent a team to pick up your daughter and bring her to a safe location. Edward was bluffing. He had no way of locating the neighbor's house. Anna took Maria's hand. Where did you leave Isabella? With Mrs. Johnson, but Anna, Helen, what should I call you now? For now, keep calling me Anna. Helen is who I was in the past. Anna is who I choose to be now. And what does that mean? Anna looked once more at Edward being taken away by the police, then at the lake where everything had been resolved, and finally at Maria. It means I have a family to care for. A girl who needs to learn how to play Asa Branca on the keyboard, and a friend who has done more for me than anyone has in my entire life. Anna, you can have your old life back now. Your paintings, your big house, your money. Maria, in the last 6 months, I have been happier in a 2-room apartment in Southside than in 15 years in a mansion in Beverly Hills. That's not a coincidence. As they walked back to the federal police car, Anna asked a question that was on both their minds. And now? What happens to us now? Maria smiled for the first time in 2 days. Now we go get Isabella. We go home. And you, teach me how to make that vegetable rice you were talking about. Learning before all this happened. Is that all? For today, it's more than enough. But both knew that nothing would be simpler. Anna would have to deal with the divorce, the inheritance, the legal repercussions of the case. And Maria would finally have access to the $2 million reward that could completely change her life. The future was full of possibilities that neither of them had dared to dream of before. Continue 1845, Topic 9. Rebuilding lives, 3 weeks after the operation in Central Park. Life in the apartment in Southside had transformed in a surreal way. The $2 million reward had been officially granted to Maria, and for the first time in her adult life, she didn't have to worry about money. But more importantly, Anna had decided to stay with them, at least until she could completely reorganize her life. "Mom, Aunt Anna said I can choose any school in Los Angeles now," Isabella shouted from the living room, where she was doing physical therapy for her foot. The treatment had started immediately after Maria received the first payment of the reward, and the doctors were optimistic about a full recovery. "That's true, Princess," Anna replied, sitting on the floor next to the girl, helping her with the exercises. "But remember, a good school isn't just an expensive school. It has to be a place where you feel happy and learn important things." Maria observed the scene from the kitchen, where she was preparing a more elaborate lunch than they usually had. With the financial situation resolved, she had left 2 of her 3 cleaning jobs and now had time to really cook, to talk with her daughter, to plan for the future. Anna, another. "Letter from the lawyer arrived," Maria said, handing her the sealed envelope. Anna sighed. The divorce process was complicated, not because of the assets — she didn't want anything that reminded her of Edward — but because of the legal implications of the case. As a victim of psychological coercion and attempted murder, she was entitled to substantial compensation, but that meant constantly reliving the traumas of the last years of her marriage. "What does it say this time?" Anna opened the letter and read quickly. "The lawyers managed to prove that Edward used my name in several shell companies without my knowledge. This exempts me from any criminal liability, but it also means I can sue him for moral damages." That's good, isn't it? It's complicated. It means more time in court, more questions about my life, more exposure in the media. Since the case had become public, journalists had been constantly trying to interview Anna. The story of the amnesiac wife who brought down a corruption scheme had captured the country's imagination, but Anna hated the attention. "Aunt Anna, are you going to be famous?" Isabella asked, stopping her exercises. I hope not, Princess. Famous people can't do normal things like buy bread at Mr. John's bakery or teach special girls how to play the keyboard. That afternoon, Anna and Maria went downtown to resolve bureaucratic issues related to the divorce. The contrast between their current lives and those early months was striking. They now had money for taxis, new clothes, comfortable shoes, but what had changed the most was the confidence they both carried. "Maria, can I ask you something?" Anna said during the ride. "Of course." "Do you regret helping me? I mean, your life was simpler before you found me in the rain." Maria laughed. "Anna, are you kidding? Because of you, Isabella will be able to have surgery, study at an excellent school, have all the opportunities I dreamed of giving her. Because of you, I discovered that I am braver than I ever imagined." "And you? Did you discover anything about yourself?" "I discovered that enjoying the simple life isn't a lack of ambition. I discovered that it's possible to have money without losing values. And I discovered—" Anna hesitated, looking out the taxi window. "I discovered that family isn't about blood or marriage. It's about choosing to care for the people you love." They arrived at Anna's lawyer's office, Dr. Robert Smith, a 50-year-old man who specialized in cases of psychological domestic violence. He had been recommended by Marcus Johnson himself as someone who would understand the complexity of Anna's situation. "Anna, I have important news about your case," Dr. Robert said as soon as they sat down in his office. "Edward Carter has accepted a plea deal. He pleads guilty to all charges in exchange for a reduced sentence." "What does that mean for me?" "It means you won't have to testify at the trial. It means the divorce can be finalized quickly. And it means you'll receive significant compensation, not for the assets of the marriage, which you don't want, but for the psychological damages you've suffered." Anna was silent for a long moment. "Doctor, I just want all of this to end. I don't care about money. I just want my life back." "I understand, but Anna, this compensation isn't about revenge. It's about justice. It's about ensuring you have the resources to completely rebuild your life." "What is the amount?" $15 million. The silence in the room was absolute. Anna turned pale, clearly not expecting such a large sum. "15 million, she murmured. "That's a lot of money. It's the money you deserve after everything you've been through. And Anna, there's one more thing. Your house in Beverly Hills. It's in your name since the marriage. Edward can't touch it." Anna shook her head immediately. "I don't want the house. I can't even think about living there again." "Then sell it. Use the money to start a new life." On the way back home, Anna was visibly disturbed by the news. "Maria, I don't know what to do with so much money. I don't even know what to do with the possibility of having so much money." "Anna, you already know what you want to do. You've talked about it several times in the past weeks." It was true, in the long conversations. Late at night, after Isabella had fallen asleep, Anna had mentioned a dream: to open an art school for underprivileged children, a place where she could teach painting, music, and other arts to boys and girls who would never have those opportunities. "Are you talking about the art school?" "I am talking about the art school. Anna, you have the money, the experience, the motivation. What are you waiting for? What if it goes wrong? What if I can't make it work? Then you try again. Anna, look at everything you've faced and overcome. An art school will be a piece of cake compared to taking down a corruption scheme." When they arrived home, Isabella was at the window waiting for them, as she always did. "So? What did the lawyer say?" the girl asked as soon as they entered. "He said Aunt Anna is going to get very rich," Maria teased. "Richer than the bad man?" Anna knelt down to Isabella's height. "Richer than that, Princess, but not because of the money. Rich because I have you, rich because now I can help other children, rich because I chose to be happy." Aunt Anna, when you open your art school, can I be your first student? Anna looked at Maria, who was smiling proudly in the back of the room. Not only can you, but you'll be the assistant teacher. Someone needs to teach the other kids how to play Asa Branca on the keyboard. That night, after Isabella fell asleep, Anna and Maria stayed in the small living room, planning for the future. They had a folder full of papers about available properties for rent, blueprints of what the school could look like, and lists of necessary materials. "Maria, there's something I need to tell you," Anna said, closing the folder and looking directly at her friend. "What?" "I don't want to do this alone. I want you to be my partner in the school." "Anna, I don't know anything about art. But you understand children. You understand struggle, overcoming, not giving up even when everything seems impossible, and most importantly, you understand unconditional love." Maria felt her eyes welling up with tears. "Are you sure?" "Absolutely. Maria, in the last 6 months you've given me something I never had, not even in my life of luxury, a real family. Now I want to build something together with you, something that is ours." They fell silent for a moment, each processing the magnitude of the change they were about to make in their lives. "Anna, can I ask you a personal question?" "Of course. Do you miss anything from your previous life?" Anna thought carefully before answering. "I miss painting. Not the exhibitions or the recognition, but the act of painting, of creating something with my own hands. And it's funny because now that I can paint again whenever I want, I've discovered that what I want most is to teach others to find that same joy. So that's it. Let's create a school that is about discovering joys." "Exactly." They returned to the papers, but now with a different energy. They were not just planning a school, they were designing the rest of their lives. And for the first time since they met, both were absolutely sure that the future would be better than any past they could imagine. Outside, the rain began to fall, the same rain that had brought Anna into their lives 6 months earlier. But this time, instead of despair and escape, it brought the promise of growth and renewal. Continue 1847. Topic 10. A New Beginning. 6 months later, on a sunny March morning that marked exactly 1 year since Anna had been found in the rain, the Hope and Art Institute officially opened its doors in the Arts District. The renovated 2-story building had been transformed into a magical space where children of different ages and social backgrounds gathered to discover talents they didn't even know they had. "Mom, look! How many kids came?" Isabella shouted from the second-floor window where the music rooms were located. At 9 years old, she had become not only the first official student of the school, but also a kind of ambassador, helping the younger children adapt. Maria smiled, adjusting the final details of the students' exhibition that would be inaugurated that afternoon. Her hands, once calloused only from hard work, now had colourful stains from paint and clay, marks of her new profession as the educational coordinator of the Institute. "Anna, are you ready for the grand opening?" Maria shouted downstairs, where Anna was making the final touches on a mural she had created with the children. "Almost. I'm just finishing up with the morning class." The mural covered the entire wall of the entrance hall, a giant tree whose roots spread across the floor and whose branches reached up to the ceiling, filled with vibrant colors and small details that each child had contributed. It was a perfect metaphor for what the Institute represented, a place where each person could grow and flourish, contributing to something greater than themselves. At 2 in the afternoon, a small crowd had already gathered. In front of the Institute, there were families of the 50 children enrolled, local journalists, some politicians wanting to associate with the successful project, and even a few former colleagues from Anna's artistic world who had discovered her whereabouts through the media. "Anna, are you nervous?" Maria asked, seeing her friend take a deep breath before stepping out for the opening speech. "A little, but it's a good kind of nervous. It's the difference between being afraid of something terrible and being afraid that something wonderful might not work out. It will work out. Look around, it's already working." Anna looked around the institute they had created together. On the ground floor were the painting, sculpture and craft workshops. On the first floor were the music, dance and theatre rooms, and on the second floor, a community library and tutoring rooms for children. "Maria, do you remember what I said on the first day we decided to do this? That I wanted to create a place about discovering joys?" "I remember. I think we did it. But more than that, I think we discovered our own joys in the process." Anna's speech was simple and moving. She shared her story, not all the details, but enough for people to understand that the Institute was born from a personal experience of starting over and discovery. "This place exists because I believe that every child has talents waiting to be discovered," she said, looking at the dozens of curious little faces in the audience. "But mainly, it exists because I learned that the happiest moments in life don't happen when we have everything, but when we have something to give." After the official speeches, families spread out across the Institute, visiting different workshops and seeing the work that the children had produced. During the first months of experimental operation, in the music workshop, Isabella was playing Asa Branca on the keyboard for a group of younger children who listened to her in fascination. Her technique wasn't perfect yet, but the music was played with so much love that no one cared about the wrong notes. "She plays very well," commented a voice behind Maria. She turned around and was surprised to see Marcus Johnson, the federal agent who had coordinated the operation against Edward Carter. He was accompanied by a younger woman and a boy of about 7 years old. "Agent, what a surprise to see you here. I couldn't miss the chance to see what you all have built. This is my daughter Clara, and this is my grandson John. When we heard about the Institute, we wanted to see if there were openings." "There are always openings for special people," Anna said, appearing beside them. "Hi, Agent, how are you?" "Much better after seeing you two turn a tragedy into something so beautiful. Edward Carter was sentenced to 15 years in prison, by the way, and the investigation you facilitated led to the arrest of 8 more people, including 3 politicians and 2 judges. And what about the children affected by the embezzled money, the social projects that were harmed?" "Ah, that's the best part. The recovered money is being used to fund exactly this type of project. Institutions like yours are receiving federal grants for expansion." Anna and Maria exchanged glances. This meant they could open branches of the Institute in other neighborhoods, reaching even more children. "But today we won't talk about work," Marcus continued. "Today is to celebrate. Clara, why don't you go meet the other children?" As the agent's grandson joined the group, listening to Isabella, Anna was called for a quick interview with a local TV journalist. "Anna, a year after everything that happened, how do you feel?" "I feel at home. For the first time in my adult life, I feel completely at home." "And your plans for the future?" "To grow slowly, but to grow well. We want every child who passes through here to leave knowing they have value, that they have talents, that they have the right to dream big." "And personally, are you thinking of getting married again?" Anna laughed. "My priority now is the family I've chosen, Maria, Isabella, and all the children who come through here. Romantic love. Well, if someone comes along who understands that my life is dedicated to this work, great. If not, that's great too." When the interview ended, Anna found Maria in the library, organizing books that had been donated by local publishers. "How was the interview?" "Good. But Anna, I have news to tell you." "What news?" Maria pulled a folder from among the books. "Remember the publisher that wanted to publish a book about our story?" "I remember. You said you weren't interested. I changed my mind, but I don't want it to be just our story. I want it to be a book about new beginnings, about people who found the strength to change their lives, with part of the royalties going to institutes like ours. Anna took the folder and flipped through the first drafts. Maria, this is amazing, but are you sure you want to expose our lives like this? I want to share our message. If our story can inspire a single mother not to give up or a woman in an abusive relationship to seek help, it's worth it. At that moment, Isabella came running. Bella, followed by 3 other children. Mum, Aunt Anna, John wants to learn to play the keyboard, Mary wants to take a painting class, and Peter asked if he can come every day. And you, Princess? How do you feel being the first official student of the Institute? Anna asked. Isabella thought for a moment, with the seriousness that only children can have when making important reflections. I feel important, like I helped build something good in the world. The 2 women exchanged emotional glances. That was exactly what they had hoped to achieve with the Institute, to give children the feeling that they could contribute to a better world. When the official event ended and the last families left, Anna, Maria, and Isabella were left alone in the Institute, tidying up the last details. "Do you know what I'm thinking?" Anna said, stopping to put away the art supplies. "What?" they both asked at the same time. "I'm thinking that exactly a year ago I was running in the rain, desperate, not knowing who I was or where to go. And today—" She gestured around the colorful and possibility-filled space. "Today I know exactly who I am, and exactly where I belong." "And who are you?" Isabella asked. "I am Anna Johnson," she replied, using for the first time the surname she had informally adopted. "I am an art teacher. I am a daughter of the heart to Maria. I am a second mother to Isabella. And I am a woman who learned that life truly begins when we stop running from what scares us and start running toward what makes us happy." "And you, Mom? Who are you now?" Isabella asked Maria. "I am Maria Johnson, a curriculum coordinator, aspiring writer, proud mother, and a woman who discovered that courage is not the absence of fear, it is doing the right thing even when afraid." "And I am Isabella Johnson, the top student and assistant keyboard teacher at the Hope and Art Institute, daughter of the bravest woman in the world, and the second daughter of the most artistic woman in the world." The 3 laughed, embraced, and stayed there for a few more minutes, simply enjoying the silence filled with possibilities of the space they had created together. Outside, it began to rain, but this time, none of the 3 felt the urge to seek shelter. The rain had brought Anna to them, washed away the painful past, and now symbolized renewal and growth. "Shall we go home?" Maria finally asked. "Let's go home," Anna agreed. And as they walked down the street under the gentle March rain, the 3 knew that regardless of the challenges the future would bring, they would face them together as the family they had chosen to be.